Good afternoon, sports fans. This is George with Custom Tied Flies and Guide Service, and I'm going to do a tutorial for you on the black woolly booger. Now, this pattern is tried and true. This thing catches fish in mud. This thing is wonderful. I'm going to be tying this on a Mustad 9672 3X long streamer hook, number 6. Bend my barb down. This is a bead head, so I got a 4.8 millimeter bead that I put on there. And my little Renzetti Traveler vise. So you're going to use black 140 denier thread. I like Danville Flymaster. That's a quick thread process. So you get tied in. Some folks like to add extra lead. I don't really like to add extra lead. Run your thread all the way back to shank, to where the shank and the bend come together. First thing you're going to put on is your Marabou Tail. Marabou. It's feathers off of a turkey's legs. You're going to measure this against the shank. You want it to be a little better than a shank length off the back of the hook. See how I incorporate the feather with the body. That's okay. I want to build some bulk here. This is a beefy bug. If you wanted to put a little flash or something in the tail, you can do that. There's all kind of different things that you can do with this. But, excuse me, I'm just going to stick with the basics. Once you get the tail on, then you want to think what your material wrapping strategy is. Okay, so what's the first thing you're going to wrap forward? That's the last thing you want to attach. Okay, so here's a saddle feather. I like to use the Whiting American streamer saddle feathers. Grab it by the tip, stroke it down. You can pull this off if you want to or not. It's completely up to you. But you're just going to wrap that in with the shiny side toward you. Next is your wire. This is UTC spooled wire in a medium silver. You want to put that in about halfway up the shank. Snug it in real good. And I like to use old scissors to trim wire with. Don't do that with new scissors. These scissors are probably 30 years old. Okay, and then the next thing that goes on is your chenille. I usually get my chenille by the skein, but you can use any. This is medium chenille. You can use any brand. There are several different brands of chenille, but the key is you want to pull these little fibers off of those little internal threads. Now, sometimes they're black, sometimes they're white. Okay, use a pinch wrap. That's the only thing that you want to tie in at the very back. You don't want to tie everything else. You want to tie in to incorporate with the hook. Otherwise, you end up with a big clump of stuff in the back of the fly and it doesn't swim right. Okay. Couple half hitches. Bring your bobbin cradle over. Now you're going to wrap your chenille. Make sure you wrap it up in there real good and tight, since you didn't glue your bead in place with super glue. Sometimes you do that. This time I didn't, but sometimes I do that. I was just trying to tighten up my voice. Anyway, okay, so then next to be your saddle feather. You want to stroke those fibers back, and you want to wrap them forward. Just keep stroking them back just like you would on a wet fly. You want them to stand out at a 90-degree angle from the shank. It's going to try to turn on you. I like to take a couple turns up here at the head, so I make sure I got a kind of a collar on it. Couple more half hitches. You're going to bring your wire up, and you're going to want your thread out of the way while you bring your wire up. Your wire is counter wrapped. You want to rake those fibers up out of the way as you're bringing your wire up, because you really don't want to trap any of those fibers down again the hook. Not any more than you have to. The whole idea here is to, this is for reinforcement and for armor plating, because trout have teeth, and they will bite into this fly, and they will tear this fly up, and then you have a bad day because your fly got beat up by a fish. I mean, you know, I can't think of a better way for your fly to get beat up, but then you're left with a beat up fly. Okay, get in there real close with the... You can helicopter this off too. Stroke those fibers back. Get your whip finish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can use either UV resin or head cement on the collar tie off. I'm going to use head cement. Now you want to get a bodkin. I use hat pins, and just kind of got to go back and check, make sure that you don't have too many fibers trapped by that wire. Like I said, you might have a few, and a few is okay, but you don't want the whole thing to get matted down. There are a lot of different schools of thought on this, whether you want to tie the feather in backwards, which I don't do, or if you wanted to tie the wire in under the hackle, in which case then you're losing the reinforcement of the hackle stem, but you're gaining the armor. You're still having the armor plating. So that is the bead head black woolly booger. I hope you have as much fun tying it as I did showing you how to tie it. Again, this is George with Custom Tied Flies and Guide Service. If this is helpful, you can like it and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you can find this and many other fly patterns and tutorials on my website, www.custom-tied.com. So it's custom-tied.com. Have a splash. Don't forget the dash. Tight lines, screaming reels. Fish on.